warnings, and promises. Many of the Bible writers were prophets. A prophet is someone who is chosen by God to give his messages. The messages prophets give are called prophecies. Some people think that prophets are people who always tell what will happen in the future. But that's not necessarily so. Many times, the messages in the Bible were about the future, but often they were messages for that time. Nobody chooses to become a prophet. When Elijah was a little boy, he didn't say, "I'm going to be a prophet when I grow up." Like other Bible prophets, Elijah was chosen by God to become a prophet. Being a prophet wasn't a fun job. Many of the messages God sent were messages of warning and doom. The people who were supposed to listen didn't want to hear what they were doing wrong and what was going to happen because of their sins. Remember the message Elijah had for King Ahab and Queen Jezebel? They wanted to kill him. Most of the time, neither the prophets nor their messages were welcome. Samuel was just a little boy when he was called to be a prophet. His mother, Hannah, prayed for a son for a long time. She wanted a son so badly that she made this promise to God. "If you could give me a son, I will give him back to you all his life." Hannah did not forget her promise. Samuel was still a small boy when she took him to the tent of the Lord in Shiloh. Samuel stayed with Eli the priest, who served the Lord there. Every day Samuel helped Eli. God was very pleased with Samuel. Now Eli had 2 sons who were evil. God had warned Eli that he must make his sons stop their evil ways, or he and his sons would be punished. But Eli did not stop his sons from doing evil. God was not pleased with Eli or with his sons. Eli was an old man and almost blind. One night he was lying in bed. Samuel was also lying in bed in the Lord's holy tent. Then the Lord called Samuel. Samuel answered, "I am here." He ran to Eli and said, "I am here. You called me?" But Eli said, "I didn't call you. Go back to bed." So Samuel went back to bed. The Lord again called, "Samuel." Samuel went again to Eli and said, "I am here. You called me." And again Eli said, "I didn't call you. Go back to bed." This was the first time God had spoken directly to Samuel, so Samuel didn't know the Lord was talking to him. The Lord called Samuel for the 3rd time. Samuel got up and went to Eli. He said, "I am here. You called me." Then Eli realized the Lord was calling the boy. So he said to Samuel, "Go to bed. If he calls you again, say, 'Speak, Lord. I am your servant, and I am listening.'" So Samuel went and lay down in bed. The Lord came and stood there. He called as he had before. He said, "Samuel, Samuel." Samuel said, "Speak, Lord. I am your servant, and I am listening." Then the Lord gave Samuel a message for Eli. It was not a message Eli wanted to hear about his sons and himself. It was not a message Samuel wanted to give, but Samuel told Eli what the Lord had said. This was the first of the many messages Samuel gave during his long life, and messages from the Lord that Samuel gave came true. People don't often think of Abraham as a prophet, but one night while he was asleep, God gave him a prophecy about what would happen to his descendants. The Lord said, "You can be sure that your descendants will be strangers and travel in a land they don't own. The people there will make them slaves, and they will do cruel things to them for 400 years. Then your descendants will leave the land, taking great wealth with them." Years later, Abraham's grandson, Jacob, and all his family moved to Egypt during a time of famine. At first, they were treated kindly, but then they were made slaves and treated very cruelly. About 400 years later, just as the prophecy said, God sent Moses to lead them out of Egypt. Their neighbors gave them gold and precious gems, so Abraham's descendants left with great wealth, just as the prophecy said. Some of the most important prophecies are about the time Jesus came as a baby. A prophet named Micah gave this prophecy. "But you, Bethlehem Ephratah, are one of the smallest towns in Judah. But from you will come one who will rule Israel for me." We know this prophecy came true because Jesus was born in the town of Bethlehem in Judea during the time when Herod was king. There are prophecies in the Bible that have not yet come true, but we know that they will. Many of these prophecies are about the second time Jesus will come. One of these is found in the first letter Paul wrote to the Thessalonians. "The Lord himself will come down from heaven. There will be a loud command with the voice of the archangel, and with the trumpet call of God. Those who have died and were in Christ will rise first. After that, those who are still alive at that time will be gathered up with them. We will be taken up in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and we will be with the Lord forever." When we read the Bible and see how many messages was given by God's prophets have already come true, it helps us to believe the ones that have not yet come true. The prophecy about Jesus coming is one of the most wonderful of all. We know that prophecy will come true one day soon.